The village of Gidan Zaki, once a place of quiet routine, was now a cauldron of simmering tension. The whispers of rebellion had reached the ears of the elders, and they moved swiftly to stamp out any sign of dissent. The chief elder, his pride wounded and his authority challenged, was determined to make an example of Amina and anyone who dared to follow her lead. It began with a decree. The elders, under the guise of protecting the village from the wrath of the ancestors, announced that any woman who defiled the binding ritual would be banished, cut off from the community, and left to fend for herself in the wilderness. This punishment, they believed, would be enough to scare the women back into submission. But fear had already begun to lose its hold on many of the villagers. Amina's defiance had sparked something deeper, something that the elders had not anticipated. A longing for freedom, for a life not dictated by the oppressive weight of tradition. And so, while the decree sent shiver of fear through the village, it also stoked the flames of resistance. The night after the decree was announced, Amina's hut was visited again, this time by even more women than before. Some were young, their eyes wide with a mixture of fear and excitement. Others were older, faces lined with the weariness of years spent in silent suffering. They had come not just to talk, but to take action. "We cannot let them do this," Fatima said, her voice quivering with barely restrained anger. "They think they can scare us into submission, but we are stronger than they know." The women murmured in agreement, though there was an undercurrent of anxiety in their voices. The threat of banishment was real, and the wilderness beyond the village was unforgiving. But Amina, sensing the fear in the room, knew that this was a pivotal moment. If they falter now, the elders would win, and all they had fought for would be lost. "We must stay strong," Amina said, her voice calm but resolute. "They want us to be afraid, to scatter and abandon each other. But if we stand together, we can face whatever they throw at us. We are not alone in this." The women looked to her, their eyes filled with hope and uncertainty. They were not warriors, they were mothers, daughters, and wives. But Amina's word gave them strength. They had already taken the first step by defiling the binding ritual. Now they needed to see it through. As the night wore on, they made plans. They would spread the word quietly, gathering more women to their cause. They would support each other, sharing food and resources if the elders tried to isolate them. And most importantly, they would not let fear dictate their actions. But the elders, sensing the growing defiance, were already planning their next move. They had underestimated the depth of Amina's influence and the strength of the women's resolve, and now they intended to crush the rebellion before it could grow any further. The first blow came the following day, when a group of elders loyalists stormed into the marketplace. They seized one of Amina's supporters, a young widow named Zara, accusing her of spreading dissent and defiling the will of the ancestors. The punishment was swift and brutal. Before the gathered crowd, Zara was publicly beaten, her cries echoing through the marketplace as a warning to all who might think of following in her footsteps. The spectacle was meant to instill fear, to remind the village of the consequences of defiance, and for a moment it seemed to work. The women, who had been quietly rallying to Amina's cause, faltered, fear tightening its grip on their hearts. But Amina, witnessing Zara's suffering, felt a surge of anger that burned away any trace of fear. That night, as she and her closest allies gathered once more in the secrecy of her hut, Amina spoke with a fire that had never burned brighter. "They want us to believe that we are powerless," she said, her voice ringing with conviction. "But they are wrong. We are stronger than they know. Zara's suffering will not be in vain. We will not be silenced. We will not be broken." The women, galvanized by Amina's word, felt the fear that had gripped them begin to melt away. They knew the risk, they knew the danger, but they also knew that they could not turn back now. The first blow had been struck, but it would not be the last. And as long as they stood together, they believed they could weather whatever storm was coming.